All right, at the mercy of hotel Wi-Fi. So let's see how this goes. Might be bad, deleted later. I hate to do that after the crazy success of the Tim Lester interview that posted on Thursday. But I was going to bed on Thursday night, and I checked in on my YouTube algo. Gave me some Scoop City, Diana Rossini, Chase Daniel. I watch it a lot. I enjoy them. Good content. And so I clicked and watched. And a couple things got said. A couple things I think have been maybe misconstrued. But
We're
let's
far
listen.
apart. They didn't seem to be coming to an agreement on what they wanted to do. So once that got out there, teams started poking around on it. And I know there was a team that had a conversation with the 49ers the night before the draft about a possible trade for Kittle, a
Oh,
second rounder they were looking to get in return.
what?
So yeah, they turned it down. The 49ers decided to keep him and really move this situation forward by getting a deal done. But there was a little interest there, some
Why
poking
didn't they
around.
move him? The second round pick for a 32-year-old tight end, that seems like a really good return on investment, no?
Because going back to what you said, I don't think the 49ers ever wanted to walk away from George Kittle either. I don't think George Kittle wanted to walk.
All right. So a couple things here. It's being interpreted as if Diana Rossini said the 49ers were offered a second round pick and turned it down. I think, like a lot of really good reporters, sometimes you can report every detail of what you got, and sometimes you can't give every little piece of it. And it sounds to me like she's saying somebody called, and then it sounds like she says the Niners like, well, to even have a conversation, you got to offer a second rounder. And the other team was like, no. But then the Niners turned down whatever offer that other team offered. Not exactly clear. And it probably can't be exactly clear. But I thought what was interesting was Chase Daniel then says, why wouldn't they do that? A second round pick for a 32-year-old tight end is pretty good value, right? And he's right. Like on paper, the history of NFL trades, that is value. This is the perfect time to talk about this because picks are always so valuable until they get made. And once they get made, picks are a person. So, for example, let's just make up a team. The team that drafted ahead of the 49ers, the New York Jets. It just so happens with the 42nd pick, the Jets select Mason Taylor, tight end, LSU. If that story is the 49ers traded George Kittle for Mason Taylor, could you imagine? Forget about forget about you and me, our reaction. Could you imagine Brock Purdy's reaction? Fred Warner's reaction? I mean, Kyle Shanahan's. We just did what for what? Oh, it's the second round pick. It's value. People love talking about picks. Oh, we'll trade him for picks. We'll trade him for a pick. Who's the person? And maybe Mason Taylor may go on to be the best tight end in the history of the NFL. It's not about him, but my point here, and you guys know I know we got a lot of new subscribers lately, so thank you. Thanks to the guests who've been helping bring in the subs. Might be a disproportionate amount of Iowa Hawkeye fans here going, wait, what? I thought this channel was, what is going on here? But I love playing videos and like trying to parse through words. And there's just so much, Diana clearly can't say everything there. My interpretation of it is that she has unique information that a team did call. And a team did go, hey, you guys don't have a contract done yet. What's going on? Here's what we know about the Niners. They will pick up any call. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, they will investigate any availability and they will pick up any call. But just imagine them actually trading George Kittle for a second round pick. it would go against, especially for a team with, with some space. They're going to pay their quarterback. They need their quarterback's best partner. Now to the point that Chase Daniel made. How is George Kittle going to age? Right? Because and Diana did a really good job of explaining the contract. I know she and Kittle got in a little dust up. If you want to call it that. Just a little dust up. She explained the contract, essentially a 2-year deal. And I do think there's a big question. I was thinking about Ethan Strauss texted me the other day, and we were texting about tight end longevity. So I was thinking about doing something on this topic. We have no idea. In the NFL, you can't really project 2 years out on a player's health. It's, you go back and look at a guy 2 years ago and what he becomes 2 years later. It's just really hard to project. But you know where I stand. I do think that there's the possibility that Kittle's going to age better than people assume he will, based on the fact that the way he plays. And he's got a chance because he's a unicorn. And he's a unicorn in the sense that he is a Swiss Army knife, but if a Swiss Army knife had really good, if everything in the Swiss Army knife was top flight, like a Leatherman, I don't even, like if you ever open a Swiss Army knife, the knife is kind of dull and the spoon is kind of bent and the fork is like, it's either the size of a giant's fork or a baby's fork. It's a humongous fork, right? You can't use that fork. One size does not fit all. And there's a corkscrew and like the nail file, you couldn't file an orange with that nail file that they gave you in a Swiss Army knife. The point is, it is the classic example of jack of all trades, master of none. George is different. George is a unicorn. It's as if you open that Swiss Army knife and it's the sharpest knife and the perfect fork, fine china fork, and the most wonderful nail file you've ever experienced. Meaning, as one part of him ages, there might be other parts of his game that are still really, really useful. And part of what makes him really useful is that he does everything really well. But he's like paid for none of them. He's not paid as a top flight receiver. He's not paid as a top flight blocker. Tight ends do get kind of hosed. I just don't see a world where the Niners actually entertain that. And so I that's all to say, I don't think they turned down a second rounder, but then it begs the question, so are they asking for a second rounder and they would have done that deal? A little unclear. Which is fine. Like I think she can't be totally clear, probably. There's also this comment.
I think there's some talk out there that they're far apart on this and that it's going to take a while.
That's what I heard.
I don't get that sense. The sense I'm getting is
she's talking about. My bad. Hotel. I'm out of my element. She's talking about
closer
Brock
than
Purdy
what we think. I don't believe Brock Purdy shows up for OTAs if he doesn't feel good that they're near a number that he's happy with, right? Like that's how it usually works with players. Very rarely are guys showing up if they're that far apart. It just doesn't work like that. So to me, just that action alone tells me that they're closer, but also doing some digging on it. I think this is still moving in a really good direction. I don't think there should be any.
Okay. So a few things, because I saw a comment that I want to get to too. I find contracts interesting when nothing else is going on. I got to be honest, guys. I'm supposed to care about this topic. I care the level. I care kind of like, and part of it is because of a report like what Diana just said, which is it's going to be fine. Like that's my basic. And I know you like fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Like after watching the Bosa thing take forever and the Ayuk thing take forever, like I'd be a dummy to sit here and go, it's all going to be fine. And then here we are in August and it's dragging out. But I do kind of think it's all going to be fine. And I think they're not doing a deal that is detrimental to them. And he's not doing a deal that doesn't make him generationally wealthy. But both things are going to happen. That's the prediction there. The other thing, I love when this happens. I love this, and I'm not picking on, and I appreciate this, MC. Thank you for the comment. Let me go back here. Want Diana Rossini the same? Wasn't Diana Rossini the same one on national TV a day out saying we were 100% drafting Mac Jones? I'll take your word for the sake of this. I'll just I don't remember because so many people were saying that. And it gives me an opportunity anytime this topic comes up to talk about this. I love this topic. And this topic is about the fact that just because reports are sometimes wrong doesn't mean there's something in that report that tells us something. And there are a lot of people who have just for all of future dismissed Mike Silver and Peter Schrager and Diana Rossini and anybody else that said the Niners were going to draft Mac Jones. And, my opinion going all the way back to when it happened was if you want to dismiss all those people for being wrong about that pick, I think that's a mistake. I think instead what you should think to yourself is like, why did all of these people who generally have all of this information all get that one wrong with the same information? Was it A, because somebody wanted to throw up a smokescreen and make them believe that? Or was it B, because there was some truth to their information? Well, it's not A. There was no reason to smokescreen the third pick. We knew Trevor Lawrence was going number 1. We knew Zach Wilson was going number 2. And then the Niners were sitting there at 3 to do whatever they wanted. Also, probably safe to say nobody else was taking Mac Jones. Like if there was some curveball and Zach Wilson wasn't the pick at 2, it wasn't going to be for Mac Jones. So it's eliminate number 1. I have maintained this whole time that the fact that so many people got the Mac Jones pick wrong was not evidence, was evidence that they actually had intel. And we should kind of listen to what they were saying, which is there were some people, there was a person who really liked Mac Jones. And as time has gone on, that theory has only gotten stronger, solidified perhaps by the fact that Mac Jones is on the 49ers now. So, I think that you do whatever you want. I love trying to decode all this stuff, and it's part of the fun of this to me. I'd much rather hear reports from reporters and try and decode them than predict what day a player is going to sign a contract or do mock draft 15. By the way, I like mock drafts when there's a purpose to them. When it's just, let's do it again. It's like, I like there's a point where doing mock drafts becomes just like, oh, the lottery drawing is tonight at 8. Coming up live at 7, a panel of experts will try to predict the numbers. I'm not saying all mock drafts are like that. There's a lot of really good, I love reading mock drafts and watching them, so don't get me wrong. When it's like, hey, this is what we need. I'm hearing this is what they need. I'm just saying it gets to a point where I'm like, enough already. Just pull the lotto numbers. So, there's intel here. There's intel in what she just said. There's intel in what she said the night before the day of Trey Lance draft pick. I think one thing is clear. She started her podcast today with a George Kittle insight, a Brock Purdy insight, and then a Fred Warner contract update, which I didn't play. People say like, don't watch a man's pocket. Don't pocket watch. Don't source guess is the other one. She started. I mean, I think there's some pretty good evidence. A, that Diana Rossini is pretty plugged in, even though, as I said, I think her report here is getting misinterpreted in part because it's a little unclear. But 2, like, if she says something about the Niners, like we should probably pay attention to what it is and try and figure out what it is. Doesn't always mean it's right. All right. Derek says the Niners didn't trade the only offensive skill player on their team. I'm shocked. Well, everyone's fired up. Brandon Ayuk was out playing golf, kind of putting. Jan comment, Kyle even said during his last press conference before that draft, if you're fine with somebody at 12, you should be fine with them at 3. Direct response to the narrative about Mac at 12, but not at 3. I played this 3 minutes of Kyle's 2021 presser the other day. It's an all-time presser, worth rewatching. It's fantastic. But Ollie says Kyle has never settled or been talked into anything. He runs the team. He may have liked Mac, but he signed off on Trey. Yeah, he signed off on Trey. To what degree he was convinced? Did he believe it could work? Yeah, sure. I mean, yes. But also, like I've agreed to stuff that I'm like, all right, I'll trust you. Okay, waiter, if you say the salmon is the order, you're adamant it's the White River salmon, fine. And then you're eating the salmon, you're like, should have got the ribeye. Oh, well, it was your decision. You didn't have to order the salmon. I know I didn't have to order the salmon, but I'm trying to make good decisions here. That's all. I mean, but it's good points. Kevin says the Niners love smoke screens. Mac was a smoke screen. Why? No clue. I don't think he was a smoke screen. There was somebody out there who was like, you're like Mac. Niners could have had Mac Jones at 15, so trading up to 3 said they aren't taking Jones. Well, I think part of what happened there was they were convinced, like, Kyle, this is not value. We can't. You trade up. Let's get the crazy athletic guy. Although the irony is that Trey Lance, and I liked the pick, to be clear, but as we saw, he was not crazy athletic. Like, he wasn't a Josh Allen athlete or certainly a Lamar Jackson level athlete. So that was part of that. But remember, they traded up before they had even evaluated. That was part of the craziness of it. They traded up without a target, which a lot of people said that's bad operation. William says, I think Tanner Mordecai can be something as a backup. Yeah, there are people that think that. But I don't think there's any evidence. I mean, I guess I am being a little dismissive. I'm not being dismissive, but I'm not holding my breath on that. Or it's just the way it is. Not anything particular to him, to Tanner. This is Paul. Rusina and Pauline said 2 days before the draft they were leaning Trey Lance. Okay. DR says, is there a GFF for front office operations? For those of you new here, GFF is Guy Football Focus. It is like Pro Football Focus, except it's just run by me. It started 2 years ago, I guess 3 years ago, where I was grading throws in practice. And it turned out to be a great asset to the football community. No one had done it before. No one had done it since. And will it come back this year? I don't know. It depends. I was talking to somebody today, like, GFF's got to come back. I'm like, yeah, what am I grading? Practice throws, I got really good at grading practice throws just because there was so much BS. Oh, this guy was 9 of 11. No, he was 8 of 12. Like, what does that mean? So I graded throws. Hardo, just ball knower. Just to be clear, if you watch that Tim Lester interview, if you haven't, it was really good. I watched that. There's this guy named, a lot of you probably know this, Dan Casey, who is a football coach. And football coaches love this guy. Dan Casey has an X account. He's got coaching instructional manuals. He once a day, if you sign up for his email list, he'll send you an email, and there's like him breaking down one cool play that day. Coaches love, like, I get text messages because Dan Casey just watches football and then like cuts all these badass plays and just posts them. So if you go to his Twitter account, it's just awesome plays. And so coaches will get stuff from this guy. And like that guy knows ball. Tim Lester knows ball. There are a lot of high school coaches out there that know a lot of ball. I'm just like trying to get in the, it's just fun. But these guys really speak a different language. And it's cool. Glad you like Tim Lester. Yeah, Brock, GFF, I think it's definitely, it started with Brock, year 2, and Trey. Maybe? I don't know. All right. Is Mac Drew Brees with Lamar? That can't be real. Does a deal have to be done by a certain date with Brock? Well, that's up to Brock whether he holds up or not, but holds out or not. But I mean, he's got a contract. All right. I guess I'll go check this and see if this actually looked good or sounded good. Hotel Wi-Fi coming through. That'd be a shocker. Oh, it started with Trey versus Darnold, but that was, oh yeah. Okay, so that was 2 years ago. That's right. I was grading Trey Lance against Sam Darnold. And there are some people saying Trey is so much better or Trey's as good. And I said, that's not what's happening. Right about that one. Wrong about other stuff, but right about that one. All right. Appreciate y'all. Washington Huskies spring game tonight. Seattle is incredible. I mean, yesterday I was here. It might have been the most gorgeous day I've ever experienced in my life. In my 75 years of life. Washington Huskies spring game tonight. Big Ten Network. They actually, I know we get some college people here. Washington's got a very, very intriguing quarterback, DeMond Williams. Played in every game last year, started the last 2, played well against Oregon at the end, then in the bowl game. Very interesting. Jed Fish says this guy's going to be in New York City as a Heisman finalist. Bold. Papa J. Bold. So anyway, that's what I'm up to tonight. It's going to be a great day. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Later. Oh, wait. This good comment brought me back. Daniel says they could have drafted Tyler Warren and got a second-round pick. If that call happened before the first round, that does make it very interesting. So maybe the Niners are like, hey, guys, if we get a second for this guy, and then we just take Tyler Warren, isn't that a swap? And I just go back to what, Jake Butt was on the show, won a Mackey Award. This guy knows tight end play. He said there are tight ends you draft in the top 15, top 10. Brock Bowers, the type of guy where you draft him, you think he's getting fitted for a gold jacket. You draft that guy. He said, and Jake played at Michigan. He's like, these tight ends, Loveland and Warren, I don't quite think they're that guy. I would not take either one of those tight ends at 11 if I were the Niners. I mean, imagine those shoes to fill if it was Tyler Warren coming in here trying to replace George Kittle. As high as I am on Tyler Warren, good luck. I remember, now the Niners eventually, Debo, as we know, is not on the team. But I remember a couple years ago, I guess it was the 2022 draft, where there was some talk about, Debo doesn't, well, what do we do with Debo? And everyone was like, I'll tell you what, you seen this guy Traylon Burks? I mean, plug and play. Debo out, Traylon Burks in, keep the train rolling. Like, it's always so easy. It's always so easy to just think about it like that. And much harder to execute it. All right, y'all.